Drew Dilkens is the mayor of Windsor, and he joins me now. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, JP.
So what can you tell us, Mayor? Why is this bridge opening delayed?
Well, you'll have to ask Donald Trump for the certain answer to that question. We had the invites out. We were ready to go. Certainly lots of eager anticipation in Windsor, and I'm sure over in Detroit. And President Trump doubled down and said he stands by his Truth Social post from a couple of months ago, and everything was derailed. And here we are, not moving forward once again.
Yeah, I mean, the Prime Minister said earlier this week that it would open, and then yesterday he started to hedge a bit because we heard some comments from the White House saying, hold on a second, Trump's not necessarily done with what he's trying to cook up here. The Prime Minister says there's no big drama. But from what I understand, I mean, there's always a bit of drama, right, with the Trump administration. But from what I understand, like, the bridge was operationally ready to open, right? Like, it was, they could cut the ribbon. I think CBSA had people in place if it was going to be an imminent opening. Is it fair to say then that scrapping this ribbon cutting was politically motivated? Do you think it's because of the intervention of Trump and his administration?
Well, I can't see any other explanation why this would not have moved forward but for Donald Trump's intervention to say that he will not staff and allow this bridge to open. And it's a darn shame, because for those of us who live in Windsor, we've been part of this process that literally has been going on for 25 years. I mean, it happened and the conversation started in and around 9/11. So you think of all of the work that's been done by successive prime ministers and presidents and premiers and governors and mayors and communities on both sides of the border to get us where we are today, only to be derailed by one man, by President Trump, who says we're not going to allow the bridge to open unless Canada compensates the United States for unfair treatment in some way. We just have to keep reminding him, sir, you did not pay for this bridge. Canadians paid for this bridge. And I don't want to see our government go on bent knee to the White House to get this bridge open. We'll wait for a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, we paid $6.4 billion to shoulder the cost of building this bridge alone. Despite what the president says, it was built with Canadian and American workers using industrial products from both sides of the border, steel from the U.S., steel from Canada. We know that Canada will collect all of the tolls, at least to start, from this bridge to, make us whole for what we've just paid, right, for this bridge. And then
That's
Michigan
right.
will get a cut eventually. It's not as if they're totally iced out. Michigan will get a slice of the pie once we've recovered some of that money. Do you think then that's what this is all about? Does Trump want to start getting that toll money sooner? Does he want to see some of that money flow into American coffers before giving the green light to this bridge?
Again, God only knows. I just can't understand how he would come forward after having the presidential permit issued to allow construction to happen, all of a sudden to intervene and say that they somehow want some form of compensation. I really don't know what the underlying motivation is, save and except to help his billionaire buddy, who's the private owner of the Ambassador Bridge. And that person certainly stands to benefit. Every day the Gordie Howe Bridge is closed, the Ambassador Bridge will simply put more money into their own coffers, and it will help the private owner of the Ambassador Bridge. This bridge was never designed. It was never built to take out the Ambassador Bridge. It was designed to augment the infrastructure that was already in place, both for redundancy, but also forward-looking. When NAFTA was in place, folks looked and said, we expect trade to increase by X amount, and we're going to need additional road capacity to support the increase in trade. And so there were a number of considerations and a number of drivers behind construction of this bridge. Trade is down today. Donald Trump started a trade war, a tariff war with Canada, and so trade is down. And so the urgency to get the bridge open, at least from an economic perspective, is not the same today as it was even a year or 2 years ago, which means we can wait. I keep saying, Prime Minister Carney, please do not go on bent knee to get this bridge open. We will get through. Wait for a good deal. Spend your time and energy getting us a great trade deal with the United States moving forward, because that will help drive the need for this additional bridge.
It seems like this whole situation is setting up for the possibility of a concession, right? I mean, we might have to give something up to get this bridge open. As you say, don't go down on bended knee to make it happen. Do you think that we're going to have to give up, though, some of that toll revenue to the U.S. to get this open? I mean, it seems like that's where the president is going with this. He wants us to compensate them in some way financially. I take it that means toll money. Do you think that would be the right move? Do you think Carney should agree to hand over some of the cash that is collected by toll collectors to the U.S. or American interests?
Well, I think that may be an an obvious play. Donald Trump often works in mysterious ways, and so he may have a hidden meaning. He may be thinking that in order to allow the Gordie Howe Bridge to open, he wants to see U.S. booze back on the shelves across the country here in Canada. Maybe that's his play, but we know he's a master at trying to leverage his position with each unique issue that's in front of him. And so whether or not we have a wholesale trade agreement like CUSMA that we have in place today, he still tries to leverage issues with respect to steel, aluminum, autos, softwood lumber, you name it. And that's the way he operates, whether that's the agreement he signed or not. And so whether it's related to booze on the shelves in Canada, whether it's related to a cut of tolls, I really don't know, but clearly there is a pathway at some point to figure out how to move forward, but someone's going to actually have to have the conversation and figure out what that pathway is, and then see whether we're willing to accept it. You know, as a Canadian who, a proud Canadian, and, you know, our government supported construction and funding of this bridge, I just don't want to see them make a bad deal on our behalf to get this bridge open. Windsorites will get through. Detroiters will get through. We know Donald Trump won't be in office forever. The bridge is already delayed as a result of COVID and other issues that were at play in building any $7 billion piece of infrastructure. And so let's just wait for the right time. Is it disheartening? Sure, because everywhere I go and people in Windsor or Detroit go in our community, we see the vista of the Gordie Howe Bridge in the landscape. And so there's this eager anticipation, having watched it be constructed for the last 8 years, and knowing that in addition to the economic benefit that it provides for our two countries and our two regions, it's also going to be the first time in 50 years that people will be able to ride their bike or walk across an international crossing into the other country. And so a lot of folks here are interested in that as well.
Okay, let's leave it there. Drew Dilkens, Mayor of Windsor. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.